Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, QVC Incorporated just filed a Form 8K detailing a Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing and a restructuring support agreement, and I found a few critical details that show the severity of their situation. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. This filing reveals a company deeply in debt, pushing for a prepackaged bankruptcy to reorganize over $6 billion. We are looking at a major corporate event here for QVC Incorporated, which is publicly traded. Companies are required to file a Form 8K to report any significant events that happen that investors should know about, and today's filing is packed with significant events. This report is dated the 16th of April 2026, and it tells us that QVC Group Incorporated and some of its affiliates have entered into a restructuring support agreement. Essentially, they are agreeing with some of their lenders and note holders on a plan to deal with their massive debt. The company itself is known for its television shopping network, but like many retailers, it has been struggling with changing consumer habits and a heavy debt load. Now, QVC has several types of debt, including senior secured notes. You can see here they have 6.375% senior secured notes due 2067 and 6.25% senior secured notes due 2068. These are the types of bonds people invest in, and as we'll see, their holders are going to be significantly impacted. The big news here is the entry into this restructuring support agreement. This is not a simple debt renegotiation. This filing details the company's plan to enter a prepackaged Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Think of a prepackaged bankruptcy as a way to get a lot of the approvals done before you officially file for bankruptcy protection. It is meant to speed things up and reduce the chaos. This agreement is with a bunch of lenders and note holders, including holders of what they call QVC notes and LINTA notes, plus lenders under their credit facility. These are the folks who have lent the company money. The total amount of debt these agreements are trying to restructure is staggering. We're talking about roughly $2.15 billion in QVC notes, $1.5 billion in LINTA notes, and an additional $2.9 billion under their credit facility. That is over $6 billion in debt. Under this plan, QVC, or a reorganized version of it, will issue about $1.3 billion in what is called Takeback debt. This is essentially new debt issued to the existing creditors as part of the restructuring. It is a way of acknowledging the debt but changing the terms. To keep the lights on during this process, they're also setting up a $300 million debtor-in-possession or DIP letter of credit facility. This is crucial for ongoing operations. It basically means they are getting short-term credit to manage the business while in bankruptcy. This section confirms the big event, the Chapter 11 filing. On the 16th of April 2026, the company parties officially commenced what is called Chapter 11 cases. This is the formal bankruptcy process. They are filing this in the United States Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of Texas. The case name is QVC Group Incorporated et al. This tells us it is a reorganization bankruptcy, meaning they aim to restructure and continue operating, not just liquidate everything. Crucially, they expect to keep running the business as debtors in possession. This means the current management stays in charge, but under the strict oversight of the bankruptcy court. They have an ambitious goal to emerge from bankruptcy in about 90 days. This is possible because it is a prepackaged plan, but it is still very aggressive. This next section is where we see the direct consequences of filing for bankruptcy. When a company files for bankruptcy, it often triggers events that make all its debt immediately due and payable. This is essentially a default clause that comes into play. So, that $2.9 billion under their credit agreement is now accelerated, plus all the interest owed on it. And remember those senior secured notes we saw earlier? The entire $2.15 billion principal amount of QVC notes is also accelerated. This includes the 2067 and 2068 notes, which are now technically in default. Almost another $1.5 billion in Liberty LLC debentures are also accelerated and due immediately. The documents clearly state that because of the bankruptcy filing, the principal and interest on these debts are immediately due and payable. However, the bankruptcy filing itself creates an automatic stay. This stay stops creditors from trying to collect and effectively pauses the enforcement of these accelerated debts. This part of the filing is about public disclosure, often related to things like press releases or significant announcements. This confirms that before even filing for bankruptcy, they started soliciting votes from their creditors on this proposed restructuring plan. This is a key part of the prepackaged strategy. They distributed a document called a disclosure statement. This statement provides creditors with all the necessary information to understand the bankruptcy plan and decide whether to vote for or against it. They also issued a press release on the 16th of April 2026, announcing all of this to the public. This is standard procedure to ensure all investors are informed. This section is interesting. It talks about cleansing material provided to certain lenders. This is information that was initially kept confidential but is now being made public as part of the restructuring process. It helps clean the slate and ensure everyone has the same information going forward. Now, this is a very important warning. The company is explicitly stating that trading in their securities now, and during the bankruptcy process, is highly speculative and carries substantial risks. This is a direct warning to investors. The price you see in the market for their stocks or bonds might not reflect what you will actually get back after the bankruptcy is finalized. Often, in these situations, equity holders get wiped out completely. This is as clear as it gets. They expect shareholders to receive nothing. Their equity interests will be cancelled without any compensation. For bondholders, they note that the distributions received under the plan might not even equal the principal amount owed. This is a standard legal disclaimer in most filings. It pretty much says that any statements about the future are just predictions, and that actual results could be very different due to many risks, especially those related to the bankruptcy process itself. Now let's connect this to what we've seen with other companies, when a company like QVC enters a prepackaged Chapter 11. Especially with over $6 billion in debt and the expectation that shareholders will get nothing. It is a very serious situation. Think about companies like Bed Bath & Beyond or Rite Aid, which also went through intense restructuring and bankruptcy processes. For shareholders, the outlook is often grim. We've seen that historically, about half of companies that do a reverse split end up delisted, and this filing strongly suggests QVC is heading down a very difficult path. The company's strategy is clearly to use this prepackaged bankruptcy to shed its massive debt burden and hopefully emerge as a leaner, more viable business. However, the scale of the debt and the fact that shareholders are likely to be wiped out indicate these are not minor adjustments. They are fundamentally changing the capital structure of the company. The successful emergence from Chapter 11 hinges on court approval and the ability to execute this plan smoothly, which is never guaranteed. The biggest risk here is that the bankruptcy process gets bogged down or the proposed plan doesn't adequately satisfy creditors, leading to a longer and more uncertain recovery period. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description.